Hi, my name is Chrissy Cochran, and this is my brief overview of the Barnegat Bay. The Barnegat Bay covers over 42 miles of shoreline from the Point Pleasant Canal all the way to the Little Egg Harbor Inlet. It is a combination of fresh water and salty seawater that come together to make brackish water. There are many environmentally sensitive habitats that reside within the Barnegat Bay estuary. Some of these include the sandy beaches we all know to love, bay islands, submerged aquatic vegetation, finfish nursery areas, shellfish beds, and waterfowl nesting grounds. Due to the size, water type, and varied habitats, the Barnegat Bay shows a great deal of biodiversity. But before we submerge ourselves into the bay, let's first look up. And I'm sure that we will see some sort of waterfowl. Most commonly, we'll hear the squawks and the squalls of all the different kinds of seagulls we have in this area. But we might also see sandpipers, terns, egrets, herons, or even ospreys. All these birds are an important part of the ecosystem because they naturally control the fish and shellfish populations. There are more than 100 species of fish known from the Barnegat Bay, but only about 1/3 of them are year-round residents. Many of them come and take advantage of the warm water in the summertime and use these waters to spawn their young. And then the young will use these waters for protection and food resource. Some species that we could see is winter or summer flounder, striped bass, bluefish, croakers, weakfish, silver sides, northern pipefish, blowfish, sea robins, and there are so many more. But the Barnegat Bay is also a very important ecosystem for many different varieties of shellfish. Some shellfish, such as like clams, mussels, oysters, and scallops, are known as bivalves. And that means they have two shells, and they are hinged on one side so they can open and close like this. Within the same phylum of shellfish, which is mollusks, include the sea snails, whelks, and sea slugs of the bay. But the more active and aggressive shellfish are the arthropods of the sea. And these include bottom feeders such as crabs, lobsters, shrimp, and krill. But the most important crustacean of the bay are probably the tiny, tiny zooplankton. Zooplankton are microscopic shrimp-like animals that eat the phytoplankton and in turn are an important food for the bay's juvenile fish, clams, and other animals. Another organism that we could encounter and would like to act very cautiously when we see them are sea nettle jellyfish. Especially because in the recent years they have increased in abundance within the Barnegat Bay. But these free-floating animals have like a bell shape main part of the body that's about 4 inches across, and then tentacles that extend more than 2 feet below or behind them. Weirdly enough, they actually feed on other gelatinous animals such as the comb jellyfish. And the comb jellyfish are really cool because they glow in the dark. But we only see the sea nettle jellyfish in the summer because in the winter they attach to rocks or other hard surfaces at the bottom of the bay and form polyps. And then in the spring these polyps bud off and grow into adult jellyfish. As you can see, there are so many different types of animals that are found within the Barnegat Bay. And those are just a few that we could see while actually going out there and seining. They all make up a network of food chain and the overall ecosystem. But we need to remember that there's a limited flow through the bay's inlet. So that reduces the amount of water that's flushing in and out of the estuary, making this a system particularly susceptible to impacts of human activities within the watershed. So it's important to recycle and not use so many fertilizers or any kind of insecticides, especially when it's raining, to protect our beautiful Barnegat Bay and all the creatures that reside within. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.